What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Truck Parking Clubhouse. I'm your guy, Michael Lombard at Lombard Trucking, anywhere on the internet. I want to wish everybody a big happy Memorial Day out there, and I hope you've stayed safe all weekend long. And I do just want to say real quick, at Truck Parking Club, we honor those men and women who have made the ultimate sacrifice for our country, serving in their armed forces. And we posted a video the other day, and I wanted to give a brief little, a brief little message out there. Memorial Day, something very near and dear, close to my heart. I served in the Marine Corps from 2008, 2012, and I deployed to Afghanistan in 2010. And one of my best friends was tragically killed in action in a roadside bomb attack near the Kajaki Dam on December 21st, 2010. His name was William Krause, and he's one of the bravest people I've ever met. And I would know that and to make him proud every day, I always just try to live a life of being somebody worth sacrificing for. And that is what Memorial Day is all about. So definitely tip the cap, give yourself a moment of silence for all those men and women who did give their lives while serving in the United States Armed Forces. But I'm very, very glad to be with you guys on a Monday. So wherever you're tuning in from over your holiday weekend, I hope you're staying safe. You're parked up someplace safe, or you're able to make it home. 30 minutes ago, by the way, issue 71 of Taillights did hit your inbox, and we've got some pretty fascinating stuff to talk about. We got the CEO of FreightWaves, Craig Fuller. He thinks rates are up, and he claims that they're not going anywhere. And so read about his opinion in there as well as some other current events and news going on. And a great summer health tip for you guys. But without any further delay, let's get into this week's Clubhouse. We got a phenomenal driver with an amazing YouTube channel. You got to follow along with his adventures. But without any further delay, I'm excited to have a nice conversation with my good friend, Eddie V. What's going on, brother?
Hey, how's it going, Michael? And thank you for your service.
Oh, man, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. It was feels like a lifetime ago, but definitely, changed the trajectory in your life in all the best possible ways. And miss those friends of mine who are no longer with me. But again, I just try to make their sacrifice not in vain. And that's why we do what we do here at Truck Parking Club. And other than that, but how is your holiday weekend going?
Pretty good. Some hotel issues, but we got that straightened out, so we're getting a better room tomorrow. But we're put in the wrong room to begin with, but we went through it, so we'll be getting upgraded soon.
Yeah, it's funny with hotels. Like hotels, for some reason, I don't know what it is. I feel like in the age of technology, hotels used to be easier, and as the doors switch to not having keys anymore, it's almost like there's so many computers and there's so much technology and bookings and third party bookings. The logistics of the hotel industry just seems to keep making a few mistakes.
Oh yeah, mine was a little different. We're timeshare owners with my wife, and we're supposed to get VIP treatment, but we're stuck in a room without a balcony interior room. And my listing, I went back and looked at it. We're supposed to have a balcony, so we're supposed to have some kind of view.
Well, hey man,
But
I hope it works out for you in the
oh, we got
long
it
run.
straightened out. Don't worry. We usually get it straightened out. So we always find a nice calm way to get it done. So
Good stuff, brother. Well, hey, it took a lot to get to the balcony view. I'd love to hear your story of how you got into trucking.
well, funny story how I got into trucking is I actually growing up was not thinking of becoming a truck driver, even though my dad was a truck driver and still is a truck driver. He used to take me trucking. He was a local trucker. He was hauling whey, if you know what that is, like tanker. They would haul like byproduct of cheese, whatever is left over in Wisconsin, and take it back and turn it into feed. So it was a tanker type load. And he used to stick me in the passenger seat. I would shift gears for him at that time. I was like anywhere from 5 to 8 years old, but I never thought about being a truck driver. I tried multiple different things growing up. I was into sales, that didn't work out, and then at the same time, I was going to college for accounting, and then I messed up one of the classes in terms of scheduling. And then I realized it's going to take me 10 years just to get a some kind of a degree, and I was only going to make 40,000 a year. And I was like, okay, so then I have to go to university for another 4 years to make the top dollars. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go see if I could be a trucker because I'm a little bit passionate into being a mechanic and into diesel and like engine wise. So I was like, okay, I'll go learn to become a trucker. So CDL school back then, before all the new regulations. I don't even know. I didn't even get into it, but the new regulations of how they do CDL school with some thing you got to do before you get your permit. Or that I didn't have to do none of that. I took my written test for the permit at a DMV, signed up for a school, and basically used their truck to pass my driving test in a manual transmission. Of course, he had an old school Volvo, and from there, I found my first job. It was all mom and like pop companies. I never worked for a mega carrier other than at one point I worked for my dad, but he was leased on to a mega carrier. So it was still considered like I was working for mom and pop companies. So the rules were always different. Um, Starting out, I started out step deck, and that's what I fell in love with. I did try drive in at one point in my 6.5 years being a trucker. Did that for a year. Didn't like it. Too long of a wait time. Waiting like 7, 8 hours at a dock wasn't my cup of tea. And went back to step deck. Then kind of got a little tired of that company. Went to work for my dad, hauling jet fuel and propane for I about a little over a year, which was awesome. It's good money if it's consistent, but if it's not consistent, it's just you're not working as much doing like per day, like how many loads and stuff that it's not just consistent. So I was went back to OTR with my wife. For the most part, she has been actually riding with me all the time. So 6.5 years. So most of it's on step deck. Um, don't really like flatbed. Step deck's my favorite. Um, so I've called a whole bunch of stuff on step deck, and most of my experience in step deck came from the first company I worked with, step deck, and they did a lot of freight, including equipment hauling. They even threw me did a short haul oversized load at one point, so I do have some of that experience. It was pretty fun to work for them, and then I just tried different other things with trucking, but I eventually came back to step deck. And right now, I work for a company that has like 50 some trucks of owner ops, and um, they're a really nice company to work for. Actually, they're hiring now if anyone's interested. Both owner ops and company drivers. They mostly buy brand new equipment from the dealer straight up, everything brand new, including the trailers. So they don't run old equipment. I do run, however, their oldest truck because the option came and they were like, uh, I found out they had a glider available. So it was a 2020 Freightliner Coronado with a 99 Detroit 6 tier. So I was like, yeah, throw me in that because I'm tired of being at the dealership with def issues. So I was like, throw me in that because it's old school diesel and I'm on paper logs. So I've been running on paper logs. And funny story, when everyone asks me, like, why don't you want ELD? I'm like, I just don't like it. And they're like, well, isn't it like uncomfortable for you to use paper? I'm like, no, that's what I started with. My first company I worked for, the guy had all glider trucks. He had bought trucks from like auctions that were wrecked or something, and he swapped the motors for older engines in there, either a Cummins N14 or a Detroit 6 Series. And I've been driving a stick shift for most of my career and driving on paper logs for most of it too. So it was nothing new to me. When everyone's like, it's harder. For me, it isn't. It's ELD just makes it more like if you make a mistake, you want to drive around the parking lot somewhere. All of a sudden, you activate your hours on paper log. I don't have to do that. I can be like, no, I don't have to log the when I move to another parking spot or went to the truck stop across the street.
Yeah, you're in a very extreme minority. I was going to ask you when you what year it was you had gotten your CDL.
Um, End of 2019, so right before COVID. So I can
Mhm.
go back to that. It was pretty good before COVID in terms of getting your CDL. And then when COVID hit, I mean, it was the best time to go trucking because there was no traffic. I was going into
Oh yeah.
California and it was wide open for miles. There was no traffic anywhere. Unless there was a wreck, you're not getting any traffic. Like I could literally back up from the street into a tight, like I want to say dock, but like there's like some uh, more blue collar businesses that like rent a space at a plaza, and you had to back into them from the street in order to unload like some copper wire or something like that. It was like a breeze in California because right now you won't be able to do that without somebody just blaring the horn at you. Like, what are you doing? So,
Yeah, driving in 2020 was literally like a dream. Just fly right through Indy, fly through DFW, fly. You could just get miles and miles and miles. And but it's pretty interesting to have come in a couple of years after the ELD mandate, but most of your career been straight paper, all on a manual transmission. There's definitely some Clubhouse listeners who will always love to hear that. We do preach often, especially to new drivers, and if you ask questions, that if they are getting their CDL, do what you can. I know everybody's life situation could be different, but do what you can to learn on a manual transmission, not just to help you out and where you may go in your career, but just of the sheer just the knowledge of the control and knowing what that feels like will help correlate. So that's awesome. That's what you've been in. And I was going to also ask you any quick company shout outs across your career. I know you mentioned your current company, but always want guys to shout out any good places you think drivers should go, depending on what they're interested in. I know you're a flatbed step deck guy, but yeah, any company shout outs who you're currently driving for that you'd like to mention?
So, Luxor Drive Inc. is the company. It's called. We're hiring owner ops and company drivers. All new equipment. Well, mine's the oldest, but mostly all new equipment. He buys 2025, well, now 2026 and up models and brand new trailers. He does flatbed and step deck. He has one owner op with an RGN. The flatbed is what's available right now. He does have one Conestoga flatbed, but it's hard to get onto that trailer because whoever grabs it, they never have to tarp, so they never give it up. If you want to go on the step deck, it is a wait list because apparently it's kind of hard to order brand new ones right now. They're more expensive, so he has a bigger fleet of flatbeds. But he says the money is pretty much the same in terms of what trailer you pull, like flatbed versus step deck, except it's up to driver preference. I just like step deck because I think it's safer. Like if you're holding a coil and you accidentally mess up and it starts rolling, it won't roll straight into your cab. It'll roll into your axles. Um, I think it's safer because you got that step that protects, and most of your loads are on the bottom deck anyways. So if something shifts, it's not immediate like uh, life emergency situation where you get crushed in the cab. Um,
Yeah. Step decks definitely. There's always a possible opportunity for a little bit more money too. With
yeah, you get higher loads too, where flatbed
bingo.
can't haul. Yeah.
Yeah,
We're almost as low as an
oversized.
RGN. Yeah, we're almost as low as an RGN, especially if you pull a low pro. If you pull a low pro, which I have experience in that. Oh, just a quick thing, funny thing. You will not blow tires at 70 miles an hour low pro if you got the right tires. Everyone always says don't go over 60, don't go over 62. Um, I've talked to a lot of drivers that have low pros, and a lot of them also have auto air on their trailer, so it relieves the
Mhm.
pressure when it's needed, so they can run 70 no problem. And one brand of tire, if you always run a Michelin, you'll never blow a a tire on the low pro, unless of course you're rubbing curbs and all that. Then of course you'll blow one eventually. Um, my company that I worked for, the very first company I worked for, they ran low pros, and I've ran 70, 75, never blown a tire in a low pro. So it just depends how your setup is if you want to run 70.
All right. If anybody watching live viewers want to challenge that logic on the step deck tires, feel free to drop it in the comments. It's a good tidbit of information in there. Awesome career. Well, before we get into, because you've been running paper, because it's a great segue into this, but along the along the way of your trucking career, and sorry about my voice, by the way, and to anybody listening, I think somebody on Instagram said I can't really hear you, but I blew my voice out earlier today. I was watching a race that was happening downtown, so I was cheering some people on. So sorry if it sounds like I'm clinging on to my voice, but along the way, while you've been driving, you started a YouTube channel. So I'd love to hear what got you into making content. Did you make content before you started trucking, or what
Oh yeah.
inspired you to? Yeah, what inspired you to start making content?
So I started making content before I was driving a truck. Actually, if you go to my old videos, they're all about fish tanks. Because growing up, I used to keep aquariums, like reef aquariums. I actually pretty much gave away my big 90-gallon reef tank that was 6 foot long. It was like a couple $1,000s worth of stuff in there. I gave it away for free because they're hard to sell in an instant when you need to get rid of it or move it or something. And I was just basically creating content off of that. I had a few fish tanks, and that was when I was in college trying to figure stuff out in life, and I was filming that. And then eventually I started filming cars, and then when I got into trucking, I jumped on and started filming trucking videos. And I only started filming on my third company I worked for because the first two companies I was with, they didn't allow any social media like influence for some reason. They were like too scared of something. I don't know what they were scared of, but they didn't want anybody filming their stuff that we're hauling. So had to not film anything there back then. That's how I started with the YouTube channel.
Man, I just gotta take a moment real quick to for everybody to realize like the type of guy Eddie V is. So go to school for accounting. So we've got accountant, somebody who's good at math, fish tank YouTube channel, step deck truck driver, moving on into cars, and then trucking on YouTube. Like there, you can't stick a pin on who Eddie V's is, from accountant to fish tanks to cars, right into trucking. Like truckers are the most diverse people for just within themselves of their interests and what they've been good at and the things that they've done. And it's a pretty storied life that you walk
Yeah.
behind. And I like that you bring that up because that's funny when it comes to, we hear that a lot, or I see it on TikTok, of drivers who don't show their company, and I can understand that to an extent. For certain companies, especially when it comes to privacy and DOT numbers and identity, cargo theft. And I think that there's merit to it, despite technology like gen logs and a lot of stuff that's around. I mean, nothing's a secret really, but from the in taillights that we talked about rates and stuff. And when it comes to carriers, carriers have a tough job in the marketing front, and trucking's highly competitive. And that's why I always encourage any driver or anybody who's an owner operator, really, especially if you're an owner operator, you should be making content. Because when I was making running videos, when I was over the road, I had brokers on LinkedIn being like, dude, I'd broker you freight just because of that video you made while you were running. And it's like, and so when you showcase who you are and your personality, it's just another way for your business to stand out. And if you are an owner operator, like, you're a business owner, you're not just a driver anymore. And when you own a business, you have to, like, you're the face of it. You're not just a driver, you're doing sales and doing stuff like that. So I always find it interesting when companies, and people have their reasons. I'm sure there's pros and cons why they don't want to do it, but I'm definitely glad you make YouTube videos now because you're phenomenal at it. I'd love to shift gears. You've been running paper, most of your trucking career. So I got to ask, because maybe this problem hasn't been as big for you as other people, but when was the first time you had heard about Truck Parking Club?
First time actually, it was on Bonehead Truckers. I think it was you. I'm not sure. Do you guys have a location in Nevada somewhere where you like by Las Vegas that was like a super nice location by any chance? Because this was years ago when I first heard about you.
Yeah, we've got a couple locations in Vegas.
Yeah, when you first guys like opened up. I don't know if it was Bonehead Truckers, but it was a trucking channel for sure, and they actually liked your parking spot. That's what I heard about you at first when you guys were first small, like your first few locations. That's where I first heard about you. I wasn't really using it or like needed to use it because I think at that time I was like local, so local, no need for parking. Occasionally we'll need parking, but we have like uh 3 yards we could park in my state when I was doing local, so I can hop into any yard and go to sleep there. So it was never an issue for me. Um, and then again, I started using it when I went back OTR again when you guys like really took off.
Awesome. So social media is how you first caught wind of it. And yeah, I mean, I know you run paper logs, but I've seen you stay at a couple of our locations. How have they been working out for you, while you're out there working?
Like the paper logs themselves.
Well, no, not the paper logs, but I mean, I seen that you've stayed at a couple of our locations
Oh
recently,
yeah,
and it
yeah.
was just
They worked out pretty good because the Florida beach location was my favorite because me and my wife we were in Florida delivering the load at the Air Force Base near Panama. And we got a load that was going to Atlanta. I was like, well, there's only one truck stop around Panama City that I can actually park. And that's not even in Panama City Beach. It was like north of it. I forgot the name of the freeway or the highway there. And I was like, I don't really want to go that one. That was a little bit run down. And my wife really loves the beach. So I start looking. Somebody suggested go park by this hotel. They might allow truck parking. I start calling around. They're like, there's no truck parking. I'm like, okay. So I opened up the app, and I'm like, lo and behold, there's a truck parking club location right with beach access about 500 feet away. I was like, okay, we're turning this into a date before I go and deliver my load in Atlanta, which is only like 3 hours away from there. So parked the truck, no issues parking it. It was actually a pretty clean lot. Uh, Walked to the beach, had a little evening, walked to a restaurant, ate, and walked back. And if anyone really needs to use that location, they can for even like multiple days because they got hotels all around. And if you need more food options, you can even go farther down the street. There's more. And then the public beach access also has bathrooms open 24/7 there, and public showers. I mean, obviously you're gonna have to shower in your clothes or swimming wear, but because public beach access have like the showers to spray off from the sand and stuff, but no one's gonna bother you if you do that. So basically, that location had all the amenities in like one spot, and of course, nobody bothers you at night.
Yeah, that could top the list as one of our. I mean, that might be a number one location we have right there. I mean, you get all in one. I mean, beach access. I'd have to see if we have any properties that are within that. There's a couple that are near lakes. I know that there's a couple lakefront where you can access a lake. Somebody recently was telling me that they were able to go fishing at one of our locations. There was a river that had run behind it, but beach access, this one, so just north Panama City Beach. This could top the list, especially with the showers. Yeah, you can really, if you live on the road and you want to take a 34, 72, however long you got, there's your long weekend right there. And it's down south too. So, the weather's nice.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
But other than that, so I mean, with paper logs, parking isn't always going to be your biggest issue out there. I mean, you've been in the industry now, over 7 years. What do you think is a problem or an issue in the industry that you kind of like that you're passionate about or you want to see get fixed or addressed? What's something that kind of grinds your gears about the
Um,
industry?
I think number one issue, it's not even the driving aspect of it right now. Because there's a lot of issues we could mention. I think the number one issue I see is food options, really, because every trucker that you look, when they first start out, they're healthy. Um, Next thing you know, they get worse and worse. Now, if we go back in history, go search up truckers in 1980s, 1970s, and tell me what they all look like. The food was different back then than it is now. So I think number one issue right now is food options. Whenever you go to like a Love's or Pilot or whatnot, yeah, Subway's probably gonna be your best healthiest option in a truck stop. But most truck stops will have like Burger King, McDonald's, Hardee's, and even some like truck stop food that may not even be suitable to eat anymore. Now, I'm saying if you do your research, you can turn any restaurant into a healthy option, but most drivers don't, and they grab whatever they see. And it's sad to see where I see a driver that's overweight, like really overweight, coming out, and he still has a whole bag of the unhealthiest food that can possibly cause him a heart attack going down the road. And I think that's a safety issue too. And then that food option, I think, is a big problem because drivers just eat truck stop food. I recommend everyone get an inverter and try cooking yourself if you have the time. Um, because I was overweight before with the same problem. And then when I went back OTR again, me and my wife, we started eating healthier. We started cooking our own food. We basically use Walmart app, DoorDash to bring groceries, fresh groceries into the truck. And we cook off the inverter. We barely eat out whenever we're on the road. And if we do eat out, believe it or not, we actually use AI to help us get the lowest, most healthiest calorie options from a certain restaurant if we have no other choice.
Did you, by chance, before we jumped on the live stream, did you like look up who I am on the internet by chance? Did you research anything about because you're speaking the Lombard trucking language and
No, no,
that's kind of what
no,
I've spent
no.
like the last 6 years talking about on the internet. So you're really you're pulling at the heartstrings because that's obvious. That's an issue that I take very very much to heart. I have a weight loss testimony myself, and um, and I really, really appreciate a driver who can come on here and share their testimony as well of how they're living healthy over the road. Especially, again, I think every driver is probably already using ChatGPT or some version of Claude, whether it's for their business or for their content or for whatever it is they're doing. And I love that you're saying I'm using this stuff to figure out what the lowest calorie options are while I'm out there over the road. And I really much appreciate you sharing that, especially on the live stream, because that's a personal mission of mine. Driver health and fitness. I think it's the it can be driver health and fitness to me is with a stronger foundation of driver health and fitness. I think that that's how all the other issues in the industry can become solved. When people are stronger and fitter, they're in a position to stand up to the other problems out there. And that's awesome, man. That you so Walmart Plus, a little bit of Chat GBT, using the inverter, cooking yourself, and staying healthy.
Yep, yep. I've lost. So I was at 215 when I was local. I wasn't really taking care of myself. Went back OTR. Of course, the type of trailer pulls, the type of trailer you pull sometimes does have an effect, like step deck, especially after tarp. Well, you're out there doing physical work of chains and straps and all that. So I was at 215. Now I'm at fluctuating anywhere from 178 to 183.
Hey, man, that's a chunk of change right there. That is a toddler that you lost of weight. So definitely be proud of that. Yes, type of freight is important too, and I think it's great that you came on here preaching the flatbed step deck message. I mean, yeah, when you are stuck swinging doors, you need to go out and find your. And I swung doors for a good chunk of time. If you're swinging doors, you definitely got to find your movement. You've got to intentionally get out there and walk, get your steps, do some movement, go for jogs. But yeah, you're throwing tarps. You're torching five, depending on the temperature. You're torching
Yeah.
anywhere from 500 to 1,000 calories, depending on the size of that load and what you're doing. And the best thing about being a trucker is you've got that option to move a muscle, change the thought, and shift the different type of freight you're looking towards, especially if you're valuing the longevity of your career. Absolutely.
Yep, yep.
Now, I do got to ask you. I mean, you've been out here almost 7 years. If you could go back and do it all over again, kind of, or go back in time and tell yourself something at the start, what would you tell somebody who's like, "Hey, Eddie, I'm getting I just got my CDL. What's your advice?"
Um, Well, do your research at which company you want to first start joining, and don't buy a truck right away. Because, long story short, I did try to become owner op, didn't do my research. Truck being ended up being a lemon. Had to just sell it after paying off all the repairs on it. Learn the industry, I would say, for at least probably 2 years. I want to say at least 2 years. Learn the industry, do research on trucks, drive certain trucks, and if you see it's breaking down all the time, don't buy that kind of truck. Um, and if I were to go like you said, giving advice, but if I were to go back, I would have not. I regret buying the truck and ended up fixing it all the time. I would go back and probably buy something, some other truck that would be more reliable, because at that time I went after the look instead of the engine.
Awesome. Any first so okay, so say somebody's on the verge of buying their truck. You got a make model. What do you think? Should they go glider? Should they what do you think somebody should do, especially right now if it's 2026?
So right now, if it's 2026, it's still legal to do it. So buy anything that's older emission. So basically, glider or anything pre 2008. Honestly, if you're not going to run into California, because California doesn't allow any engine older than 2010 to enter California, you can buy that older truck, delete it, because it only has a DPF and EGR. It doesn't have the DEF yet, but you're not allowed in California. So if you're not going to California, no one's really going to care anywhere else if it's deleted or not. Um, and honestly, you can if you want to buy deleted trucks, but I'm just saying take it with a grain of salt, because they can still they can still find you in certain areas. It's getting a little easier, but still find you. Stay away from anything new, in my opinion. Just I've been on newer Freightliner Cascadias, and I've been on a newer Western Star that look like the Transformer movie. It's just too many def issues, too many sensors, too many electronics. One thing goes wrong, next thing you know, nothing on your dash works. When you buy an older truck, I could have the RPM stop working, and if you're driving a manual, you should be able to listen by ear on which gear you are at and like how to change it. It'll still keep running. Though these newer trucks, it takes one sensor to stop working, and you're going to be on the side of the road.
100%. Yeah, too many bells and whistles going off. They prevent you I think great TikTok channel who kind of promotes what you're talking about. Chris Polk over at Blue Ribbon Logistics. He's a big evangelist on buying pre emissions and doing it yourself, fixing it, and how you're able to still make money doing a little bit more with less, especially when it comes to newer stuff. Absolutely right. So do your research for sure. Get your feet wet in the industry. Go 2 years before you think about making a purchase. Going business owner, and go and obviously probably look into flatbed first. Would you tell a new driver?
Um, Depends how confident you are. Honestly, if you go in with a company like, say you're just trying to get your feet in, you don't really care about the pay, I would recommend company like TMC. Don't go Western Express. I had a friend that worked for them. Terrible experience. TMC seems the more solid place. They have more stricter rules that you have to follow by. It's more like they'll get you in the groove of being a good truck driver. Not the best pay, from what I've been hearing, but they'll get to your experience if you want to start into flatbed and step deck, and they do have oversized load positions as well. And that's the mega carrier that I would recommend, honestly, because I feel like they're the best fit for training. Uh, I got trained semi good. I did make a few mistakes. They did train me, but it was a mom and pop, so they can only do certain amount of training. For preferably, I would tell everyone try door swinging for a couple months, because a drive-in or reefer trailer will teach you how to back, because step decks, they're a lot lower, so you can squeeze in underneath a lot of stuff without hitting anything while backing up. But drive-in and reefer will teach you like the blind spots, how to do it properly. And then the best lesson is always walk around and get out and look and see if you're about to hit anything, and make sure you're clear. I do that all the time. I don't like It's better to do that than hit something and then now it's a couple $1,000s of damage.
Well said. There we go. Well, hey man, I appreciate you, brother. Any last words of wisdom you want to leave?
Um, I just say pay attention while you're on the road. The world's getting crazy now. It's getting more worse. Like, even if you're doing everything right, there's gonna be somebody that's mad. The other day, I had a flatbed driver. He was oversized by over length. I was doing like, okay, it's speeding. It's 67 and 65 in the road work, but nobody's gonna care about it. I was passing somebody doing 45. He was a mile behind me. He then was tailgating me because he's doing 80 plus. And as soon as I passed those two trucks that were going 45, I cleared, let him pass. You can go on. You're in a hurry, whatever. He almost ran me off the road. He started taking up 2 lanes, and then he cut me off with the beam, like by my bumper, and then start brake checking me. I'm like, I didn't even do anything. So situations like that, just pay attention, because people will I don't know, try to run you off the road even if you didn't do anything wrong.
Well said. Yeah, always be on alert. It is getting a little bit crazier out there. Summer's coming. It's heating up. The tempers are going to start heating up as well. But glad you stayed safe out of that situation, man. And
Yeah,
want to thank you for coming on the Clubhouse tonight. First time coming on. Won't be the last time. We'd love to bring you on
sure.
a couple months. We'll do a recap. We'll talk industry stuff. We'll talk trucking. So really appreciate you coming out. Really hope you enjoying your vacation out there. Well deserved. I see all the hard work you're doing. And to anybody else who jumped in on the Clubhouse live stream, I want to thank you guys for tuning in wherever you're at. If you've been listening for the past 30 minutes, Eddie V. Eddie V is a gentleman who does want to help leave this industry better than he found it. That is exactly what we do here at Truck Parking Club. We want to leave this industry better than we found it. That is why we help truckers save time and fuel by working with existing property owners so they're able to instantly reserve truck parking nationwide. And if you need truck parking tonight, it's on Eddie V. He's got you. Use the promo code Eddie V, and you got $20 off your next booking. But with that, guys, we will see you next week, 7:30 p.m. Central Time. Stay safe and